everyone, and welcome to another episode of Driving Insights Podcast by M5 Management Services, where we cover ways for your fixed operations department to gain efficiency, customer retention, and long-term profitability. I'm your host, Tim Harkins, brand manager at M5 Management Services, and on today's show, we'll talk about the flaws of using hours per repair order as a performance metric in service departments. We'll explore why this widely used measurement can lead to counterproductive behaviors, examine real-world scenarios that highlights its shortcomings, and discuss the importance of focusing on customer lifetime value instead. We'll also touch on alternative metrics that could provide a more accurate picture of service department performance. So buckle up! You're listening to Driving Insights. Hours per repair order is a metric that's been debated for years. It's a number that's thrown around in dealerships, service departments, and management meetings like it's the holy grail of performance indicators. But what exactly is this mysterious metric? Well, simply put, hours per RO is calculated by dividing the total labor dollars by the number of customer pay repair orders and the effective hourly labor rate. It's meant to give a snapshot of how much billable work a service department or individual advisor is generating per customer visit. For a long time, this number has been the go-to measure for evaluating service department efficiency and sales performance. Dealership owners have been known to come back from industry meetings wielding this metric like a weapon, demanding improvements from their fixed ops managers, service managers, and advisors. It's not uncommon to hear ambitious targets like, "We need to hit 2.5 hours per repair order," echoing through service bays across the country. But as we'll explore in this episode, this seemingly straightforward measurement might be leading us down a problematic road. While it's crucial to have performance indicators in any business, it's equally important to ensure we're measuring the right things in the right way. And when it comes to hours per repair order, we might be missing the mark. Now, when we talk about measurements in business, it's not just about having numbers to look at. A truly useful metric needs to do more than just exist. It needs to guide us towards improvement and success. There's two key capabilities that any worthwhile measurement should bring to the table. First, a good metric should give us a clear picture of where we stand compared to our peers. It's like a benchmark that allows us to understand if we're leading the pack, keeping the pace, or falling behind. This comparison isn't about bragging rights, it's about understanding our position in the market and identifying areas where we might need to up our game. The second crucial capability is the ability to measure the impact of our actions. When we make changes in our process and strategies, we need a way to gauge whether those changes are moving us in the right direction. A useful metric acts like a feedback loop, showing us in real time whether our efforts are paying off or if we need to course correct. These two capabilities work hand in hand. They allow us to set meaningful goals, track our progress, and make informed decisions about where to focus our energy and resources. Without these elements, we're essentially flying blind, making choices based on gut feelings rather than solid data. And as we delve deeper into the hours per RO metric, we'll see how it measures up against these crucial capabilities. We'll explore whether it truly gives us the insights we need to drive our service departments forward, or if it's leading us astray despite its widespread use in the industry. Now, let's pull back the curtain on a troubling aspect of the hours per RO metric. Despite its widespread use, this measurement is surprisingly easy to manipulate. And here's the kicker. These manipulations often lead to behaviors that are counterproductive to the overall health of the service department and the dealership as a whole. So consider this scenario. A service advisor is under pressure to boost their hours per RO. They might start cherry-picking larger jobs while avoiding smaller, quicker services. Oil changes, tire rotations, and quick inspections. They might start subtly discouraging customers from these services or not offering them at all. Why would that be? Well, because these smaller jobs can drag down their average hours per order. This manipulation doesn't stop at the advisor level either. At a management level, there's a temptation to artificially inflate the metric by adjusting the labor times assigned to various tasks. By increasing the billable hours for common repairs, the hours per RO goes up without any real change in productivity or customer service. The real danger here is that these manipulations can create a false sense of improvement. On paper, the numbers look great. Hours per RO is climbing, which should indicate better performance, right? But in reality, the service department might be turning away smaller jobs, missing opportunities for regular customer touchpoints, and potentially driving customers to seek these services elsewhere. This disconnect between the metric and the actual beneficial behaviors creates a toxic cycle. Employees focus on gaming the number rather than providing the best possible service to every customer who walks through the door. It's a classic case of what gets measured gets managed, but in this instance, we're managing the wrong thing. Now let's dig into the core issues that make hours per RO a problematic metric. While it's been a staple in the industry for years, it's becoming increasingly clear that this measurement has some serious flaws. One of the biggest problems is its narrow focus on labor sales. In the world of automotive service, labor is just one piece of the puzzle, and by ignoring parts sales, we're missing a huge chunk of the revenue picture. Think about it. A high-value parts replacement might take less time than a labor-intensive diagnostic process, but it could be far more profitable for the dealership. Yet hours per RO would favor the latter, potentially steering advisors away from recommending necessary parts replacements. Another issue lies in how repair orders are counted. The metric uses the total number of customer pay repair orders as its divisor, but this doesn't accurately reflect the number of customers being serviced. It lumps together complex, multi-day repairs with quick, routine maintenance visits. This can lead to a skewed perception of how efficiently the service department is operating and how well it's serving its customer base. We also need to consider the impact of the effective hourly rate. Any changes to this rate, whether up or down, will affect the hours per RO metric, even if the actual work being done remains the same. This introduces an element of variability that's not directly related to the performance we're trying to measure. Perhaps most importantly, hours per RO fails to capture the quality of service being provided. It doesn't reflect customer satisfaction, the thoroughness of inspections, or the long-term value created for both the customer and the dealership. So in essence, it reduces the complex art of automotive service to a single, oversimplified number. And as we continue our exploration, we'll look at some specific scenarios that illustrate these problems in action. These examples will show just how misleading this metric can be when it comes to evaluating true performance and guiding business decisions in a service department. Now, if you're a service manager feeling overwhelmed by the pressure to hit your hours per repair order targets while still maintaining customer satisfaction, well, we can help. Our consultants can assist you in implementing a more balanced and effective performance measurement system. We'll guide you towards a structured approach that not only improves efficiency, but also enhances customer retention and, most importantly, long-term profitability. We'll help you create amazing customer experiences while boosting your bottom line. Just fill out our free consultation form on our website, www.m5ms.com today. Now, let's dive into some real-world scenarios to illustrate how hours per RO works in practice. We'll start with a base case, a typical month in a service department. This will give us a foundation to compare against as we explore different situations. So imagine a dealership service department that brings in $200,000 in customer pay labor sales for the month. They're charging an effective hourly rate of $90. Now, let's crunch the numbers. If we divide that $200,000 by the $90 hourly rate, we'll get 2,222 hours of billed labor. Let's say this work was spread across 1,000 customer pay repair orders. So, what does this mean for our hours per repair order metric? We take those 2,222 hours and divide them by 1,000 repair orders, giving us a 2.2 hours per repair order. This becomes our baseline, the number that service managers and advisors are told to improve upon. At first glance, this seems straightforward. It appears to give us a clear picture of how much work we're selling to each customer. But, as we'll see in our next scenarios, this simplicity can be deceiving. This base case sets the stage for understanding how changes in service department behavior can impact that hours per RO metric. It's crucial to keep these numbers in mind as we move forward, because they'll help us see just how this metric can lead us astray when we start to alter our sales strategies. So let's see what happens when our service department tries to improve its performance. In this scenario, our team decides to be more proactive in selling additional customer pay work to warranty customers. It's a smart move, right? We're already servicing these vehicles, so why not try to capture some additional revenue? Let's say the dealership has 400 warranty customers coming in during the month. Our savvy service advisors managed to sell additional customer pay work to 300 of these customers, averaging $40 of labor each. That's an extra $12,000 in customer pay labor sales, a clear win for the dealership's bottom line. You'd think this increase in sales would be reflected positively in our hours per RO metric. After all, we've just boosted our customer pay labor sales from 200,000 to 212,000. But here's where things get interesting and ultimately frustrating. Remember, to calculate hours per RO, we divide our total labor dollars by the number of repair orders and our hourly rate. Our labor dollars went up, but so did our number of repair orders. We've added 300 new ones. When we crunch the numbers, our hours per RO actually drops from 2.2 to 1.8. This is where the metric starts to work against us. Despite bringing in an additional $12,000 in revenue from customers who were already in the shop, our key performance indicator has gone down. If service advisors are being evaluated or compensated based on this metric, they're essentially being punished for selling more. The implications of this are troubling. Service advisors might start to shy away from selling these smaller additional services to warranty customers. They might focus solely on larger jobs to keep their hours per RO up. This behavior, while logical from a perspective of improving the metric, is clearly not in the best interest of the dealership or its customers. This case clearly illustrates one of the major flaws in using hours per RO as a primary performance metric. It fails to capture and reward behavior that is genuinely beneficial to the business, potentially discouraging actions that could lead to increased customer satisfaction and long-term retention. Let's look at a scenario where service advisors actively try to improve their hours per RO metric. In this case, they decide to focus on larger jobs and deliberately avoid selling smaller services like oil changes and tire rotations. It might seem counterintuitive, but listen to how this strategy impacts the numbers. Imagine our service team decides not to sell these smaller jobs to 100 customers who would have otherwise purchased these services. These could be a mix of customers coming in for warranty work, or those might have just stopped by for routine maintenance. By turning away these smaller jobs, the dealership loses out on about $3,000 in labor sales. Now let's run the numbers. Our total customer pay labor sales have dropped from 200,000 to 197,000. We've also reduced our total number of repair orders by 100, bringing it down to 900. When we calculate our hours per RO with these new figures, something surprising happens. It actually goes up from 2.2 to 2.4. On paper, this looks like an improvement. The hours per RO metric has increased, which traditionally would signal better performance, right? But step back and look at the bigger picture. The dealership has actually lost revenue. They've turned away 100 customers who could have become repeat visitors for regular maintenance. They've missed out on opportunities to build relationships and potentially sell other services. This scenario perfectly illustrates the danger of focusing too narrowly on a single metric. By prioritizing hours per RO, service advisors might be incentivized to turn away legitimate business. They might hesitate to offer quick, simple services that could get customers in the door and build loyalty over time. The repercussions of this approach extend beyond just the immediate loss of revenue. Those 100 customers who were turned away for small jobs might take all their future business elsewhere, including the larger, more profitable jobs that would have boosted the hours per RO metric. This case underscores the need for a more holistic approach to measuring service department performance. While hours per RO might look good on a report, it fails to capture the true health and potential of the business. It's a stark reminder that sometimes what's best for the metric isn't what's best for the dealership or its customers. Now, let's take a moment to consider the broader implications of relying too heavily on the hours per RO metric. While we've discussed its impact on sales strategies, the consequences run much deeper, potentially affecting the very core of customer service and long-term retention. When service advisors are pressured to maintain or increase their hours per RO, they might start viewing customers through a distorted lens. Instead of seeing each person as an individual with unique needs and a potential long-term relationship, they might begin categorizing customers based on immediate value they bring to this metric. This shift in perspective can lead to a decline in the quality of service provided. Imagine a customer who regularly comes in for quick services like oil changes or tire rotations. These visits might not boost the hours per RO, but they're crucial touch points that build trust and familiarity. If advisors start discouraging these smaller services or treating these customers with less attention, they're eroding the foundation of a lasting relationship. This erosion of that relationship can have far-reaching effects. Customers who feel undervalued or pressured into larger services may start to question the dealership's integrity. They might begin to view service recommendations with skepticism, wondering if they're truly necessary or just attempts to pad the bill. This loss of trust can be incredibly difficult to regain. From a business perspective, the focus on hours per RO could lead to a short-sighted approach that prioritizes immediate gains over long-term success. By potentially turning away smaller jobs or failing to nurture relationships with customers who don't always need major repairs, dealerships might be sacrificing future high-value opportunities. Remember, today's oil change customer could be tomorrow's transmission replacement or vehicle purchaser. By providing consistent, high-quality service across all types of jobs, dealerships can build a loyal customer base that returns not just for major repairs, but for all their automotive needs. The key to long-term success in the service industry isn't just about maximizing the value of each transaction. It's about maximizing the lifetime value of each customer relationship. A metric that encourages behavior counter to this principle could be doing more harm than good in the long run. Let's shift our focus for a minute and talk about that metric, customer lifetime value. This approach looks beyond individual transactions and considers the total worth of a customer over the entire duration of their relationship with your dealership. Think about it this way. A customer who comes in for regular oil changes might not boost your hours per RO metric, but over the years, they could bring in thousands of dollars in revenue. They might refer friends and family, come to you for major repairs when needed, and even purchase their next vehicle from your dealership. That's the power of customer lifetime value. And by prioritizing this long-term perspective, service departments can make decisions that might seem counterintuitive in the short term, but pay off handsomely over time. For instance, offering a complimentary service or going the extra mile to explain a complex repair might not immediately improve your metrics, but it can create a loyal customer who trusts your expertise and keeps coming back. This approach also aligns more closely with providing genuine customer-centric service. When you're focused on building a lasting relationship rather than maximizing each transaction, you're way more likely to offer advice and services that truly benefit the customer. This builds trust, enhances your reputation, and ultimately leads to more stable, predictable revenue streams. So adopting a customer lifetime value mindset requires a shift in how we measure success. Instead of fixating on metrics like hours per RO, we need to look at indicators of customer satisfaction, retention rates, and the growth of our customer base over time. It's about playing the long game and understanding that small interactions today can lead to significant returns in the future. This doesn't mean ignoring short-term performance altogether. Rather, it's about finding a balance and understanding how our daily actions contribute to building lasting customer relationships. By reframing our perspective in this way, we can create a service department that not only performs well today, but is also positioned for sustained success in years to come. Now, as we wrap up our deep dive into hours per RO, you might be wondering, if not this, then what? Well, we're glad you asked. There are indeed alternative measurements that could paint a more accurate picture of service department performance. One approach worth considering is focusing on total revenue per customer visit. This metric takes into account both labor and parts sales, giving a more comprehensive view of the value each customer brings. It encourages service advisors to look for all opportunities to service the customer, regardless of whether it's a quick oil change or a major repair. Another valuable metric could be customer retention rate. This measures how many customers return for service over time, reflecting the long-term relationships that you're building. A high retention rate suggests you're providing value that keeps customers coming back, which is crucial for sustainable success. We might also look at customer satisfaction scores or net promoter scores. These metrics go beyond the dollars and cents to measure how customers feel about their experience. Happy customers are more likely to return and recommend your services to others, driving growth organically. For a more holistic view, consider tracking the average annual revenue per customer. This aligns with the concept of customer lifetime value we discussed earlier, encouraging a long-term perspective on customer relationships. Lastly, don't underestimate the power of measuring and incentivizing the right behaviors. Metrics like the number of multi-point inspections completed or the percentage of customers who receive follow-up calls can encourage actions that lead to better service and increased sales opportunities. The key is to use a combination of these metrics to get a well-rounded view of your service department's performance. No single metric tells the whole story, but by looking at multiple indicators, you can gain insights that drive real improvements in both customer service and profitability. And in the end, the goal is to find measurements that encourage behaviors aligned with your dealership's long-term success. By moving beyond hours per RO, you can open the door to a more nuanced, customer-centric approach to service department management. Now, if you're a current service manager, fixed ops director, or even a general manager struggling to move beyond the limitations of hours per RO, you need ROSE Plus. It's the game-changing repair order survey and evaluation software that delivers a holistic view of your fixed operations performance. With seamless DMS integration, ROSE Plus provides comprehensive metrics that go far beyond traditional measurements, enabling you to evaluate service advisor excellence, make data-driven decisions, optimize customer retention strategies, spot hidden opportunities for increasing customer lifetime value, and find the perfect balance between efficiency and customer satisfaction. So don't let outdated metrics hold your service department back. Visit www.m5ms.com to learn more and request a demo today by filling out our free consultation form. Now, before we go, it's time for this week's homework. We've created a strategic blueprint for transitioning your service department's performance metrics. This comprehensive guide walks you through the process of moving beyond hours per RO to a more holistic measurement approach. It's available in the show notes and our website, www.m5ms.com, under the Driving Insights section. You'll see the episode list and a link to download the strategic blueprint. This resource includes detailed explanations of new metrics, calculation methods, and implementation best practices. It's an essential tool for any service manager looking to optimize their department's performance and boost customer satisfaction. So that's it for today's episode. I hope you've enjoyed it and thank you for listening. I've been your host, Tim Harkins, brand manager here at M5 Management Services. And as always, if you have any questions or topic suggestions, or may be interested in how M5 could help your fixed operations department, please contact us on our website, www.m5ms.com. Make sure to tune in next time where we'll talk about more industry topics that will help you drive your fixed operations department to increased efficiency, customer retention, and long-term profitability. Thank you, everyone. This has been Driving Insights.